You feel it somewhere in your chest, a low, hollow ache that has no clean name. You're surrounded by people, a phone full of contacts, a city full of strangers. And still, something is missing. You call it loneliness. But your brain calls it something else entirely. It calls it danger, and that changes everything. Loneliness is not simply the absence of people. It is an ancient biological alarm system, one that evolved not to make you feel bad, but to keep you alive. Go back. Way back. For most of human history, your ancestors did not live alone. They could not. A lone human on the African savanna, separated from the group, was not simply lonely. That person was dead. Predators were faster. The nights were cold. The small band your ancestors traveled with was not a social preference. It was the difference between survival and extinction. So your brain developed a solution. When you were cut off from the group, your body launched an emergency response. Cortisol flooded your system. Your nervous system shifted into hypervigilance, scanning for threats, interpreting ambiguous signals as hostile, struggling to sleep. The discomfort of loneliness was designed to push you back toward people, the way pain pushes your hand away from fire. The neuroscientist John Cacioppo found that lonely people show heightened responses to social threats. They read faces as angrier. They interpret neutral expressions as hostile. They become more defensive, because their ancient brain is treating disconnection the same way it treats physical danger. Your brain cannot fully distinguish between being alone in the wilderness with a predator circling and being alone in a modern apartment on a Friday night. The threat response is the same. The chemistry is the same. And alarms, when they ring too long, do damage. Researcher Julianne Holt-Lunstad examined data from over 300,000 people and found that chronic loneliness carries a mortality risk comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Your immune system, listening to your stressed nervous system, shifts toward chronic inflammation, linked to heart disease, depression, and accelerated aging. Your body is fighting a war with no enemy, and the battlefield is you. Here is the twist. You might think loneliness is a consequence of a small life, but loneliness also causes the very behaviors that make it worse. When isolation triggers your threat state, you become more sensitive to rejection, more likely to read a late reply as indifference, more likely to withdraw, and withdrawal deepens isolation, which deepens the threat. Around and around. The alarm meant to push you toward people ends up pushing you further from them. We have more tools for connection than any generation in history. And yet, loneliness has roughly doubled in the developed world over the last 50 years. The technology meant to connect you has given you the shape of connection without the substance. Likes and replies briefly light up the same reward circuits as real contact, but they do not satisfy the deeper need. They are the fast food of human connection, just enough to register, not enough to nourish. Your brain needs what your ancestors had, not messages, proximity, eye contact, the full, inefficient, unglamorous experience of being with another person. Thousands of years ago, your ancestors sat together around a dying fire, not because they wanted to, but because the night was dangerous and warmth had to be shared. Everything meaningful in your life traces back to that circle. Tonight, when you feel that hollow ache in your chest, the one that has no clean name, you will know what it is. It is not weakness. It is the oldest warning system your species ever built, reminding you that you were never meant to face the dark alone.